ways, important initiative. Did you feel that in some ways you were possibly losing the battle with rugby union in the Pacific Islands, that you had to sort of get on the front foot?
I think I saw the power of 2013 World Cup. To be honest, I saw both the player power, so you've seen two great players there, but the power of, I think, the potential of the islands to bring forward, a next tier one team. So for me, that was a big pointer. We'd been thinking about it for a while as to how we might develop the game. PNG's been operating for about a year now, and that's been incredibly successful at a community level. So no, it was less about a defensive act. It was much more about, the time is right where we can bring players in. They want to give something back. We know the potential's there. Nearly 40% of our player group are from the island, so I think it's important to recognise our player group. And I just think the development potential there is incredibly important for the game. And as I said in my little speech there, I think it's entirely possible that we could see a Pacific Island team either in the semis or the finals of the next World Cup in 2017.
Do you think it's feasible one day that we might see a team from Pacific Islands in the NRL? Is that at all possible?
Well, look, I think what we've seen with the Hunters coming into the state-based cup in Queensland and the sheer impact that has had on that competition, it is entirely possible. I mean, I've always said you have to build the foundations first. So to some degree, this sort of game development activity that we're undertaking helps to build those foundations. But they've got rich histories and they've got wonderful athletes who just made for the game of rugby league, and the cultural piece is exciting too. So I don't think there are any boundaries. I think it's the regional development program that we're going to come up with and work through is I think will provide a whole heap of opportunities in the future.
What sort of money is it going to cost you?
Look, I think hopefully we'll be working in tandem with respective governments and making sure that as the community benefits come through, everybody plays a part. So it's not a significant amount of money to do what we're doing, it's a very small amount of money. But I think as the game develops with working in conjunction with government and working in conjunction with the local rugby league bodies, I think we should be investing significantly, and I think the opportunities there, as we see, nearly 40% of our players are already playing in the NRL. So there's so many dimensions to this, but the opportunity for us as a game to make people's lives better in Samoa and Fiji and Tonga and PNG is phenomenal. And on top of that, then to see the kind of rich flow of players coming through into the game is a benefit too. So I think the investment is worth what we're going to get, and I think it's important that we respect and recognise as well the players we've got in the competition.
Sonny, can league challenge rugby as an international sport, or is it always going to be a...
Look, I think it's a very different proposition. What we have an international game. We've got the Kangaroos, they're the world champions. I think the World Cup in 2013 was incredibly successful in terms of appealing to a wider audience. I think the World Cup in 2017 is going to be phenomenal because we really will make that a spectacular event, and we're going to put Australia and New Zealand and probably one of the Pacific Islands on the map in terms of lots of people watching rugby league. So look, I think the international game is there for development, but this isn't necessarily about the international game per se. This is about recognising the region's very close to us, recognising that we can make people's lives a little bit better, recognising we've got hundreds of players in the competition who want to give something back. And Todd and I were just talking about it. One of the really pleasing things about this is those two young men, they are really excited to be doing this. They really want to do it. They really want to give something back. And how phenomenal is that if we can do great things with the game, but plus also the players are really proud to go back to their heritage.
Sonny's leaving in 5 minutes to go back to rugby union, so you had to get hold of him this weekend and get him over there.
Look, we've been talking about this for some time, but I think Sonny is an absolute superstar in terms of his profile, and very, very excited to be doing this. So, his contribution around the planning of the trip and the work we're going to do towards the later of the year, and how he's going to propagate rugby league is terrific. Similarly, Jared in Fiji is going to be phenomenal. So I know both countries will sit up and listen and recognise that the game is there, and the NRL in particular is there, hopefully to make their lives better, but I think equally to develop the game. So I'm really proud we've got those two individuals. But this is a long-term play, and we'll bring other players in who want to give something back as well, and we'll integrate much more in terms of our strategy around the Pacific Islands, and I think we'll reap the benefits over the next 5 or 10 years. I really do.
Do you want to take an NRL game to maybe Fiji or Samoa?
Look, I think taking an NRL game away is always something that you'd consider, but it's complex, and the stadiums have to be right, and The schedule has to be right and all of those other things. So we've got the South Pacific Games in Papua New Guinea next year, and I think there's going to be there's a new stadium that's currently being built, so some of the facilities there are pretty good, and I think some of the facilities in Fiji are pretty good. Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's out of the question, but in terms of whether it's an NRL game or whether it's one of our international games, and it's something we would consider as part of the development.
Dave, Sonny hasn't gone yet, but you're going to use your powers to try and bring him back when he's done.
Look, I hope things like this really are attractive to somebody like Sonny, so that when he's finished the next phase of his journey, he recognises that as a game, this is a wonderful game, wonderful place to play. But equally, we're trying to do things more broadly as well. And I think for somebody like Sonny, he's a pretty wonderful guy, so I reckon this will be quite attractive for him. So hopefully he'll come back on his own.
Not without help from you.
Oh, look, I think this is an attractive place to be. So hopefully he sees where we're trying to take the game, and it's somewhere that he wants to come on the next journey of his career. That's what I hope.
Do you have some money in that slush fund for Sonny if it comes down to that?
Look, I'm not going to talk about slush funds, the word slush fund. Look, I think a part of this is that we're demonstrating to players that it's not just about football. There's more to rugby league. It does some wonderful things for communities. So, and the players really respect that. And I think it's a sort of an added string to the bow, if you like. And hopefully it's attractive for more than Sonny Bill.
Have you made a move to go after any players from rugby union yet?
No.
Have any clubs asked you and you've knocked them back?
Oh, look, I think the whole idea that we could go after world superstars for the game, it's a once in a 20-year, 10 or 20-year thing. So it's not something that you would actively progress. It's a discretionary power that's there in the event that you need it, but it's not something that I'm going to go headhunting around the world with. Our sport is a very important sport. We've got the best game in the world. We've got the best players in the world. People want to come and play rugby league, and we've just got to be competitive in all that we do when we're employing people.
Broncos and Titans, where are you with them with the salary cap at the moment?
And the process is underway, so I think it's arm's length from me. The integrity unit is doing the job that we expect it to do, asking all the right questions and working through the investigation. And when it's done, it's done. And at that point, there'll be a recommendation made to me.
Todd, you had Sonny at the Dogs. Would you like to see him come back one day? He's only 29.
Oh, what I've seen, his maturity just unbelievable. I think he's an amazing athlete, but also an amazing person, and demonstrates that today with the passion he talked about going to a place like Samoa again. So I think he's a fantastic person to have in the game.
Dave, so we're seeing
Voice from above.
we're seeing Thursday night games come into effect this week, but obviously the Roosters Titans had a really low attendance on Monday. Are there any plans to sort of boost Monday night games and more crowds?
Look, I think crowds year on year we're above. So we're above year on year in terms of the aggregate number of crowds. We're all disappointed with Monday night. It was a freezing cold night, and but nonetheless, it was a disappointing crowd. The ratings on Mondays are pretty good in terms of Fox Sports, but the crowd work that we've done this year has been quite significant, and we have activated across over 50 games. We've tried to work pretty hard to make sure that we've got the right price tickets. We've got family fun days. There's a whole heap of things that we've tried to do to make sure it's when you come watch a game of footy, it's exciting to do some of the other stuff as well. So and we'll keep pushing. But Monday night was disappointing, but the weather didn't help us, and none of us can predict the weather.
How's the new Tigers board looking?
Look, it's going well. I think the process has taken longer than we would have liked, but we want to get it right. So it's going pretty well. I think I won't set a timeline, but we're toward the end of that process.
Dave, some people on the Gold Coast mentioned how much the AFL is pushing in that region. I mean, what's your take on where the NRL's at on the Gold Coast?
Look, I think the new Titans board is a significant uplift in leadership. I think Rebecca does a great job, and they're thinking about all the right things, and we're working with them to help them get a bit of clear blue air. So we want to develop that. It's important. I mean, the Queensland market is very important to the overall game, and it's important to us. And we'll work with the new board, with the new leadership, with the team to get it back so it's strong again, and the crowds start coming back, and the performance on the field, I think, will hopefully play a big part of that as well. So look, they're going in the right direction. I'm happy with the board. I'm happy with the leadership. So we'll work through it and help them out.
Is there any starter update?
Not really. I think the investigation continues, and the evidence has been gathered, and I've always said all along, been very, very consistent that if the evidence is presented to me, then we'll move forward with infraction. But that investigation continues.